Love is Blind contestants, this is fascinating too, are claiming abuse by production. A lot of people talking about this one. It follows the technical mishaps, delay of its season 4 live reunion special. The Netflix reality show Love is Blind has new controversy now. In a new report, multiple contestants spoke out about the conditions inside the Netflix series produced by Kinetic Content, claiming that they had been put through emotional warfare. On Love is Blind, young singles go on blind dates for 10 days, during which they must decide if they want to get engaged or go home. The couples only get to see each other once they're engaged. They're then sent on a group vacation before they're expected to return to their hometowns and plan their weddings. The show's high stakes leave a real life impact on the contestants long after the show airs on Netflix. You thrust us into this situation without any support, and everything's amplified. Season 2, Nick Thompson said, it literally ruins lives. Wow. Season 2 contestant Danielle Rule stated she was surprised she passed the psychological screening since she'd allegedly disclosed a past suicide attempt. Rule, who married and then divorced Nick Thompson, claimed that during filming she tried to leave after having a panic attack, hiding in the closet and telling producers she didn't feel mentally stable enough to stay. Quoting, I kept telling them, I don't trust myself. I've tried committing suicide before. I'm having suicidal thoughts. I don't think I can continue in this. Season 1 contestant Danielle Druin alleged, quote, the sleep deprivation was real. I feel like they do it on purpose because they're trying to break you. They want you on your edge. The report also included claims that participants didn't have enough access to food or water. Isn't this a show about love? It sounds like some other show where you survive. You're supposed to survive things, okay? But this show is all the rage, and a lot of people are talking about it, and now a lot of people are unpacking it. The latest story comes 10 months after former cast member Jeremy Hartwell filed a lawsuit against both the streaming service and production company. Inhumane working conditions were cited in the lawsuit. The lawsuit claims the contestants were paid around $7.14 per hour, around half of California's minimum wage, since they regularly worked up to 20 hours a day, 7 days a week. Response for the production company behind the show, Kinetic Content, responded to the report, telling Variety in a statement, the well-being of our participants is of paramount importance to Kinetic. We have rigorous protocols in place to care for each person before, during, and after filming. While we will not speculate as to his motives for filing the lawsuit, there is absolutely no merit to Mr. Hartwell's allegations, and we will vigorously defend against his claims. Benny, it sounds like from everybody else is doing a lot of talking here, there could definitely be merits to the claims here. This show and its production house has got to be getting rich or rich-esque off of this production. Why not treat people the right way? Or is that the secret sauce to producing this kind of reality television?
Yeah, I honestly think that it is kind of the secret sauce, unfortunately, because like, look, as somebody who like admittedly has watched all of these shows and the show The Ultimatum, which is hosted by the same two people, like these shows are evil, right? Like it's very, very clear that these shows are evil. Like if you watch them, you're like, wow, this is like there's no way that this show is like mentally healthy. And when you actually like, you know, start reading through like how this operates, and even if you just understand the general structure of the show, you recognize that the whole purpose of a reality show, especially like this one where the intention is to get somebody to marry somebody over an incredibly short period of time, you have to put people where you're creating a state of hyper reality, right? Where everything kind of feels like this is sort of the like defining feature of your life, and kind of like nothing else exists. And like honestly, like as somebody who was in the military, I gotta say a lot of the vibe feels like when I was in like basic training, which is another situation of like hyper reality, where you live in a completely controlled environment with very clear objectives that you're supposed to be meeting. Everybody around you is also supposed to be meeting those same objectives, and like so there's this sort of like shared sort of like intentional group think around, you have to go do this, you have to go on these 10 dates, you have to find somebody that you want to get married to, and like, you know, even just like pumping the brakes a little bit and being like, wait a minute, should you be getting married to somebody? Maybe you should like hop on a Discord call with all your friends and say like, hey, is this person cool and normal? None of that's happening in an environment like this where it's so controlled. And then you throw something like alcohol on top of it, and you've got like a completely different ball game. And it just like, it's very, very easy to see how a show like this could very, very much be the perfect environment for like just toxic behavior and manipulativeness, and could be incredibly damaging to people.
Wow, I find that your analogy there with basic training, I've never gone through it. So to hear you talk about it in that way and say this element is relatable, I find it wildly fascinating. But then it's so successful. And you and others are admitting to watching this. And yes, that's not the first time you use the word evil to go along with it. I think it's refreshingly honest. But then why not just at least pay them? You can't pay them for this trauma?
Yeah, no, most definitely. I mean, they're making a ton of money on a show like that, but that's kind of why reality shows are so big right now. Aside from the fact that, like, I think that they just announced a big writers' strike, so unfortunately, we might see a lot more reality shows coming up. Reality shows don't really quite require a ton in terms of writing. They're usually relatively cheap to run, you know, because you don't need as much when it comes to like the production efforts and stuff like that, generally speaking. And so one of the reasons why we see so much reality content today is because it's cheaper, is because one of the things that they're selling to contestants is, hey, you're like a random Instagram influencer. You want to be on TV? And people will come into that and not necessarily understand what they're worth, not necessarily understand what they're getting themselves into. And so reality shows really are like the perfect model for creating television under capitalism, because you find people who are desperate to be on TV, who don't know necessarily what they're getting into. The production is relatively cheap to actually do. And if the writers are going on strike and you have to worry about that, well, then, hey, you've got a cast of people who are very replaceable every single season, and even from episode to episode can be replaceable because it's a reality show. And so it's like, it is a show that is designed very much for capitalism, where the only purpose is profit and exploitation.
Well, I'm for the contestants getting theirs. I once sat down with Mona Scott, this extraordinary producer, the Love and Hip Hop series, others. I think she does that SWV versus Escape. And she said there's very few Cardi B's. Remember, Cardi B was on Love and Hip Hop, but she went with a purpose to push her brand and what she wanted to do, and then she got out of there. She escaped the island of reality television. I hope everybody stays well or gets well and gets the help and gets paid.